Hi, everybody. My name is Thandy Matlaila, aka the Running Yogi, and welcome to the first episode of Lace It Up with Modern Athletes. So today we are at Running High, a a wellness store. Is it a wellness store or is it just like a running store?
Running specialist store.
It's a running specialist store. And yes, I am sitting with Craig. He is the owner and a shoe and a running specialist. So he knows everything to do with shoes. I mean, he's been doing this for like plus 30 years, right?
30 years.
Yeah. So today I am wearing the New Balance Rebel 4. So one thing about me, when I get a certain shoe to try on, I'm not going to go and read the reviews. I will read them after I've worn the shoe. And I got something so interesting because I made the one mistake. I ran these shoes during my recovery runs.
So the Rebel is more of a everyday training shoe with added speed work capabilities. So that's really where you should be using it is on your tempo runs, your interval runs, and then race day for some people as well.
Yeah, so I made the rookie mistake of wearing it for recovery runs where it's like, your heart rate is on zone 1 and 2. But that's okay. I had fun with them because for some reason it made me want to run faster.
Yeah, so the whole thing with the Rebel V4 is the fuel cell midsole is designed to give you a lot of energy return, and it's the same midsole that they use in their top end racing shoes. So it gives you that bounce back, and that's what gives you that feeling of you want to go faster all the time.
No, but there's something I found interesting because when I got the shoe, the first thing I thought, especially when I took it to bend it, I thought it had a plate. Then when I went to read the reviews, it said it does not have a plate. What does it have? Because I could swear this shoe has got a plate.
Yeah, so there isn't any plate in these, as you've just mentioned. The biggest thing with them is the geometries of the midsole, the fact that it's nice, thick cushioning underfoot. And then, as I say, that midsole, that fuel cell is designed to spring back and give you that energy return. And that's why a lot of people think it's got a plate in it, because of that energy return that you're getting from it.
And I love just how comfortable they are. They, besides the fact that they make me look taller, they like give me a bounce, they really, really do. But there's one thing that I'm not quite happy about because my foot is like really thin and very small. And like I'm a size 3 shoe. So technically running shoe, I'd be like 3.5 or 4. But this 4, it seems to be like a little loose. I don't know if you can like actually even see it. So one thing I know is that, when shoes get old, it creates that crease. I feel like they're going to do that to mine very soon.
Okay, so the thing with New Balance is they do tend to be a slightly wider fit. Previous versions of the Rebel were very narrow. They were cut on more of a racing shoe type last. So the last is the shape of the shoe. And those were narrow. They did find that a lot of people were restricted and they didn't like that fit. So in the V4, they've widened that toe box to make it a little bit more everyday type shoe.
I got you. Now that we are trying to solve the issue, do you think if I tighten my laces, it will give me a tighter fit? Like if I just pull my laces in?
Yeah, so tightening further up would be ideal. You don't want to tighten too much down there because then it's going to crease, and that creasing can add to irritation on the top of the foot. And blistering and things like that can occur.
Okay. Just now, just going to throw this question. How many Ks can this shoe give me?
Generally, you're looking 600 to 800 Ks on a pair of shoes.
Not bad. Not saying like this particular one. Same thing.
600 to 800 Ks more or less, yeah.
Nice.
And it does depend on your running style, your running speed, how often you're wearing the shoes. So if you're wearing them day after day, they do tend to last a little bit less. Whereas if you're using them just for your speed days, you can probably get closer to that 800 K mark. Whereas if you're using them as an everyday shoe, it's going to be closer to the 600.
Now I'm going to ask you like a little bit of a technical question because I know that you're also a foot doctor. So one thing they've found about my foot is that I land in and move outwards.
Okay.
So what's the best thing for me to make sure that my shoe lasts or I don't injure myself? Do you think I should put in an inner sole, or the cushioning is good enough?
So the fact that you are rolling out when you're taking off on your stride, that I would then be reluctant to add any extra support to it.
Okay.
Because then you're likely to be pushing out too much, and that can then tighten everything on the outside of your leg.
Okay, got you. I like. And you think the cushioning will just really, really help?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Craig, I've always thought that I need, like a carbon plated shoe for my speed sessions. And I do recall you saying to me that no, actually, this one doesn't have a carbon plate, but it is a speed shoe. Will it give me my PB?
It definitely can. The big thing with the carbon plated shoes is if your form is not correct, so if you're not striking mid to forefoot and you're striking on your heel, the carbon plated shoes don't have that support. So you're going to be sitting back, you're going to be rolling in, you're actually going to be using more energy if you're not correcting your form. Whereas your average runner who's wanting to run a PB, something like that, because that carbon plate's not there, you are able to strike on your heels. You are able to just have your more natural running form, and that will then actually give you better advantage than having that carbon.
Oh, okay. Also, what I like about this is that, it's like it's thick, so which means it gives you cushioning, but it's also very light. Like what I've noticed, like especially like usually they call it a track shoe, like they're very, very thin. So meaning that you can run faster. What is it about this one? Because I mean, it is very thick, but it's also very light as well on my feet.
So the uppers that they've used are very lightweight, very breathable. They've taken heel counters out to cut weight out. The midsole itself is designed to be a really lightweight midsole. So everything about the shoe is designed around speed and performance. The tongue has got no padding in it, whereas your training shoes will have a nice thick padding in your tongue. And all of those things add to the weight.
Okay. Now, maybe one last question. I could be, could not be. I've noticed that if you run slower in speed shoes, it causes injuries. Is it the same with this one?
I won't. In this one, it won't be as severe because, as I was saying, with your carbon plated shoes, remember, as I was saying, if you're sitting back, they're very unstable. They're very narrow in the heel. They're not designed for that slow everyday running. Whereas this being wider in the heel, they are more stable.
Okay.
So you can get away with using this as your everyday shoe as well.
I did get away. I was doing my recovery runs on it until I read the reviews. They're like, oh, it's a speed shoe.
Yeah, well, that's why you were bouncing through your recovery runs.
I mean, and I didn't have like, tight calves or shin splits, because that's what usually happens if you're wearing a carbon plated shoe.
Yeah, so the carbon plate, you must remember, does change how your body works. And generally what it does is it takes strain off your calves, but it does put strain onto your quads. So because you're rolling off your toes so much quicker, your quads are working to actually slow that down.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
Well, hey fam, this is me, Thandy Matlaila, aka The Running Yogi. We are signing out from the first episode of Lace It Up. I hope you had fun. I hope you're going to get your bounce with a new Balance Rebel. Don't be a rebel now.